part of being a model railroading is collecting tools. So the more tools you got, the better model railroader you are. Maybe. Okay. So my other tool here is a paint pot. This is from Granger. It's just a standard paint pot like a professional painter would use to put paint in and pressurize and shoot out on the job. What I have here is the lid of my pressure pot. I have 4 openings here. This center section is nothing but a hook to hang the lid up. What I did was I took 2 of the openings and I plugged them. There are 2 different kinds of plugs, but it's just a plug, plumbing plug. In here I have a pop-off valve at 50 pounds PSI, which, or actually I think it's 60 pounds PSI. It's the maximum that you would want to put on this pot. It's actually rated at about 50 pounds. And then my other one here, I have a regulator valve and my indicator, so I know how much pressure I have, and I have a place here to put the air pressure to it. So let's go over here and I'll give you a quick synopsis of what we do. We're going to mix up our urethane, and then I'm going to take and I'm going to stick my part in here as fast as I can. I'm going to put the lid on here, and then I'm going to shoot the air to it. Okay, somebody asked about what I use. This is that Smooth Cast 300, which is what I'm going to use to make these parts. Let's cast this guy. Now maybe we'll cast this guy. Okay, now a quick word about when we did the silicone rubber, we said, okay, we know that we're going to mix air bubbles into it as we mix that silicone together. It's thick. There's no way that you're not going to blend air into that. And I managed my air bubbles. Remember, I said the word manage. I managed the air bubbles by sucking the air out of them, vacuumizing it. Now, I know that I'm going to mix air into these 2 products. When I mix them, a stirring process automatically does that. But remember, I said you only have about 7 minutes of pot life. 7 minutes from the time I put the chemicals together until it's going to start to congeal. And 20 minutes from the time I mix, and it's going to be done. So I have a short time period. I don't have time to put this into a vacuum chamber and suck the air bubbles out. I've got to manage the bubbles. So the way I manage them is I smash them. I'm going to put them in a pressure pot under 50 pounds per square inch, and I'm just going to crush those bubbles. And it's going to give me a far better part. If I forget to pressurize it, I would have air bubbles all over here. It'd be a terrible casting. So the difference between a pressure pot and this is an actual fact. I had 12 up. You can see that there's 9 here together. I had 3 more that would come out of this mold. It was a 12, what I call a 12 up mold, 12 parts at a time. I would get 1 good part and 9 rejects with no air pressure. If I put them in the pressure pot, almost every time I would get all 12. It makes that big a difference. It really does. That's why I say the first thing I would do is get the pressure pot, because it'll just make it a lot better. What I've done here, you can't see it, but I've got a clamp on the far side to hold this stable because it kind of moves around on me. I've also taken my level, and I've gone in here and I look at that and I make sure that it's setting level front to back. I have an insert in here, a shelf, that keeps everything flat. So I want that shelf to be in there just as level as I can get it. And then what I have out here is I have a secondary shelf that I work on. I'm going to put my mold that I'm going to cast right there. I had a really good friend that was a supplier to restaurants, and I bought all the ketchup and condiment cups, they call them, in all different sizes. The silicone you can peel out, but the urethane, they're gone. Yeah, it's a one-time shot. So we'll take a couple of these guys, stir part B thoroughly before. This is part B, okay? The other thing I have back here is I have a huge container of stir sticks. I've got tongue depressors of the fairly, turn it so the camera can see it, larger size and smaller size, all kinds of different sizes of stir sticks.
Now, mixing this stuff, Miles, is it advisable to wear gloves?
To wear gloves? Yes, it is highly advisable. Do not do what the instructor is doing, okay? Well, here, we'll do it legal so nobody complains. We'll put the gloves on. Since I got the talc on them anyway, we'll stick them on there. My switcher works with gloves. Amazing. Okay, so there it is. I've got two of them. This is a 50-50 or a 1-to-1 ratio, however you want to take a look at it. This 300, and I've got two equal parts here. Now normally what I would do is get a cup big enough that I can pour one in, I mix that, then I pour it back, mix it, pour it back. I like to go back and forth at least 2 or 3 times. But this time, because I need a larger volume, I'm just going to pour everything into one. So let's go back out a little bit so you can see what's going on. Oh, wait a minute. The other thing you have to do is you have to think ahead, because once this is mixed, you have no time. So we're going to go to the old Vaseline. I just keep an acid brush like you'd use for soldering around, and I brush that on. If you get any that slops over, which you probably will, it will go right into this wood grate and stick like crazy. So the way to prevent that so you don't ruin your shelf, you don't have to go cut another one, is grease that sucker up. Yes, it's all this prep work. Once we get it done, it's going to go fairly quick. So, but yeah, prep work is the thing. So there we go. We got that. All right, back to where we were. I think we're still on that camera. Yep, good deal. We'll pour that in. I'm going to scrape that out as well as I can, get every bit I can. Bingo Ringo. And we'll pour this one in, and we're committed. No turning back now. Now you may be able to see down in here, I don't know if you had enough light. It's turning a little bit whitish. There we go, now it's really white, see it? They're really got 2 clear liquids and they went whitish, so we know that it's at least gone together and combined. Okay, we'll put that on there. Don't want to waste any time. I don't know if you can see or not, the color's already starting to change on this larger one, so we want to, let's see if I can do this without ruining my thing. There we go. Put that in there. But I brought the air down from upstairs. We might be pushing it, but let's see what we can do here. That had 50 pounds of pressure on it. Yep. I would think that you probably could use it for a vacuum, actually.
Think so? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine.
Give it a try and let us know.
Would have to. I think we could probably even write to Speed Air, the manufacturer, and ask them, and it might be.
Okay.
Just have to ask and see what they say about their specifications.
But you know what kind of negative vacuum pressure you actually recommended for this?
For this, now
for doing the vacuum chamber, how much negative air pressure you need to create?
No, I don't, but I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll try and find out. And
okay.
You know, if they'll write me at info@modelrailroadinguniversity.com, I'll try and get them an answer.
Alright, cool.
Okay, so the neat thing about this is it's nice and cool down here tonight. We've kind of started fall in Kansas City where I am, and yet I've taken this out and it's warm. The one thing that causes urethane to set up is heat. The problem that we have, and you would have it with maybe some of those N-scale parts, and I even have it in some O-scale parts, the part has to have enough volume to create heat to cause the setup. Okay, so here we got these parts. We're going to pop this guy out. We're going to take hopefully some bigger ones out of this guy. This is the mold now that I just made a day or two ago, so this is a brand new job. Oh, he looks good. Yes, because there are, even though I've tried to get backlocks, there are backlocks. Originally when we started a couple hours ago or an hour and a half ago, I talked about picking the right durometer silicone, and the reason for that is because I want the right durometer so that I'm able to get into this. In actuality, this part was taken out from this end. I'll get right here with the camera, you can see. This was the bottom of the mold, So the rubber went around this. This is a backlock. As this came out, this piece was resisting. Okay? So even in molds where you think you're not going to get backlocks, all of these little louvers in here, they're all, let's see if I can turn it so you can see it better. Come on. Get rid of some of the light, maybe that'll help. You can see there the handles on the doors. Let me turn that.
Very good detail. Very good.
Yeah, it's exceptional detail. Like I say, if there's any detail there, it's going to pick it up. Yes, I use a primer, but yes, I took this gray one, and that's just Krylon gray primer that I sprayed on this afternoon.
That looks fantastic.
Okay.
It does, doesn't it?
So anyway, that's my books. But it'll pick up the smallest detail. The way I made those books was just some strip evergreen styrene, and I rounded them. Go back to them here. I rounded them on the front, cut them off at the top, and just made them varying heights. And so they looked like a bunch of books stacked into the shelf. And let's see, I did some things for John Lawrence. Has gone into doing guitars. He's a big-time guitarist now, songwriter down in Texas. He wanted a guitar store on his railroad, so I made him some guitars. That's a casting off the mold. A quick word about casting that we didn't mention, and this is on the same line as what we talked about Thursday night with the 3D printing. If it's made, it's probably not worth your effort. I mean, you've seen how much time it takes just to actually do the castings, let alone to have made the masters and all the stuff that goes into it. So if somebody makes it, it's probably easier just to go to the hobby shop or Walther's catalog and order it. If it's something that's not made or something that you need just bazillions of and they cost a lot of money, then it becomes worth it to do this.